Howdy nerds, it's Buttons, and he just told me some incredibly juicy stuff about Spider-Man. Actually, it was a conversation with a distributor. So, we have Spider-Man coming out, and there's a lot of drama that people do not know that is going on with Spider-Man beyond just the digital rights. So, let me back up here. So if you don't know, MTG Arena and Magic Online did not get the digital rights to put Spider-Man on their two digital platforms. So there is going to be a subset that is released just for MTG Arena and Magic Online that is going to have all of the Spider-Man cards in basically universes within. So instead of being named Spider-Man characters, they are going to be named Magic lore characters. So I don't know exactly how they're doing. I don't know if they haven't spoiled those yet. Anyway, that's the drama surrounding digital rights. So there's been a lot of questions as to why. Why this happened. Was Wizards just bad at securing the rights, or where the ball kind of dropped? Well, I had a very juicy conversation with the distributor because now the allocations are incredibly low. And so of course distributors are trying to figure out Wizards of the Coast, or there are going to be subsequent waves. What do I tell our customers? You guys ready for this banger? I think that you actually might finally have your first reserve list because the drama surrounding Spider-Man is incredibly juicy with basically the short story is there's a game called Lorcana. This one here. Lorcana is licensed by Disney. Is all their Disney. So it goes to Ravensburger, which has licensing for Disney. Disney owns Marvel. But in the way our stupid corporatocracy world works, even within these large corporations, you still have a little bit of autonomy. As far as shares even work, this is just so convoluted at this point, that Marvel still has a bunch of autonomy that they can go out and make licensing without Disney's say on, certain things. And that's apparently what happened. That Marvel and Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, have been collaborating. I know that Hasbro actually does a lot of collaboration. You can find Monopoly versions of stuff. So, this stuff isn't unheard of, these cross-brand things. However, where it gets kind of messy is, what I've been hearing is over Lorcana. So Marvel making the deal with Universes Beyond, with Magic the Gathering to create the set, has definitely rubbed Ravensburger and Disney the wrong way. Because the rumor is that eventually, if you actually do look at Ravensburger's other line, which is the Villainous, they've already started to do Marvel in Villainous. So the whole plan, the good 4-year plan of Lorcana was to eventually be creating Marvel characters in Lorcana and integrating them into the Lorcana kind of universe, into the system here. So, with Universe Beyond with Spider-Man, that has just rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and at last minute, they realized that Wizards of the Coast did not secure the rights for the digital rights, and to try and create as much chaos as possible, or protect their brand as much as possible, they basically got the big boys involved with Disney and shut that down before the digital rights could be secured for MTG Arena and MTGO. Now what I'm hearing from distributors where this gets more juicy, where it says you guys finally might have your first reserve list where things might not be able to of reprinting, is there is no second wave planned for Spider-Man right now. It's not in the works whatsoever. Typically Wizards of the Coast, what they do is they create their new set, they do pre-orders, and they try to gauge the interest. And everything right now is so sluggish, as I said in one of my last videos. The print date for, I think even things like Tarkir Dragon, I think that one's been reprinted, but the print date for Edge of Eternities is clear until January. Is the first time they're going to be able, just because of how much product is being printed. Which again, I need to go down that stupid rabbit hole with Wizards of the Coast. They haven't learned their lesson. We're going to go through an entire era of overprinting again, which is going to cause, I know I show these things every time, maybe I should sell these, so every video you guys want to see Commander Masters sitting here. But I think we're going to go through this era of Commander Masters, Lord of the Rings, New Capenna, all the way through March Machines, where everything is such a dumpster fire, things being dumped on Amazon because we are at maximum product glut. Because Wizards of the Coast just went burr, burr, burr with the printers. And apparently that's where we're at again. So the printers are incredibly backed up. So even if they wanted to print Final Fantasy set boosters right now, they just do not have the capacity to do so. And everything is really, really sluggish right now with Wizards having just the record demand that they have since, I would even say it started with Final Fantasy. It really even started with Duskmourn. You could even say it might have gone all the way back into Bloomberg when we started to see the demand for Magic the Gathering just increase set over set. And we definitely have hit the pinnacle with the Final Fantasy. So going back, so this also, now let's bring it into Avatar. So many of you may notice that the Avatar pre-release, our pre-order date was pushed up. The distributors typically allowed for pre-orders for quite a big of a window up until, you know, a few months before the release of the new set. And we got a panicked email from distributors to stores saying, please, please, please get your numbers in now. They are due because Wizards needs them for Avatar. So the rumor on the street is Wizards, that's why you're starting to see spoilers for Avatar right now. I know that they do this all the time. That Wizards is trying to promote Last Airbender now because they realize what a bad taste that Spider-Man is going to leave in everyone's mouth. That instead of hitting it full on of being like, okay, this is what happened, they're just going to try to play the good old distraction of, okay, here's something cooler than Spider-Man. Here's Last Airbender. And mind you, Last Airbender, at least locally, and at least on Patreon of the people I talk to online, as far as orders are concerned, Last Airbender is actually doing more than Final Fantasy on my end. Again, this is just anecdotal. It's not, I can't verify this across the board, but the demand for Last Airbender is massive. So it's definitely greater than Spider-Man. I think it's because there's just so many Spider-Man products out there. Everyone is kind of sick of Marvel at this point. And Last Airbender is still pretty fresh, still has its own kind of lucrative IP that hasn't been milked to death. And this crossover is actually a lot more interesting than like a Spider-Man crossover. So Wizards of the Coast, though, is playing right into this. They are promoting Last Airbender because it's something they can do like this, like reprint the Commander decks over and over, or the Commander bundles over and over for Last Airbender or Final Fantasy. This is something they can actually juice out of their IP, out of their IP licensing, where, again, the rumor is this might be a very, very quick one and done with Spider-Man as these companies, really fight it out of, what Wizards actually has the right to do and what they don't have the right to do. So speaking of Lord of the Rings, though, man, the comment section, I swear, you guys really need to get your info correct, because there were people that were claiming that the Commander decks are done too with Lord of the Rings. That is not true. Commander decks are now slated as well for February. So this is going to be, so no one knows the actual expiration date of particular IPs. We don't know if Lord of the Rings has an expiration date, if it's going to be 5-10 years down the road of how long the Wizards actually owns them. So quit hitting yourself. As long as Wizards of the Coast can make money with Lord of the Rings, they're going to do so. And if they see in the future that they can make money again, you really think that whoever owns Lord of the Rings isn't going to just take that juicy paycheck? That's where I think Lorcana is absolutely terrified, is can we really say that the entire game of Lorcana has produced, I mean, this is still licensed through another trading card company, another manufacturer, Ravensburger. So can we really say that Disney made more by going through Ravensburger? And I don't know if they've even acquired them or exactly how it works between them than they would if they would have just gone through Magic the Gathering. I had the speculation, I had the hot take that the entire reason that Wizards of the Coast went down the Universes Beyond line was they felt threatened by Lorcana. They tried over and over in courts, in other aspects to protect their mechanical aspects of the game, and you can't. In the board game, trading card game world, it's kind of crazy how if you actually look at patents in other areas, they're actually very specific. And in board games and gaming, though, it's incredibly loose. You cannot patent and copyright even, like I said, very loose concepts or very specific concepts in like game mechanics. They've been thrown out over and over, and it's set precedent after precedent that you can't do it. So I've always said Lorcana is the biggest knockoff of Wizards. Like, if there's a game that is so similar to Magic the Gathering, and I know people will say, well, it plays so much differerly than, but even like the card hand size, the life total, everything, like this was just the biggest knockoff, the biggest FU to Wizards of the Coast of basically saying, okay, we're going to take all of the good concepts of your game and, we'll tinker with it a little bit because people don't like Mana Screw, and a bunch of other games. Like most games have gone away from lands, and they're going to this system where you can either use any cards, you just start with the amount of resources per turn, kind of either the Hearthstone mechanic or the Kaijudo, what was before Kaiju? Anyway, that mechanic where any card could be a resource. And Lorcana just, that's all they did. They basically took Magic and stripped the element of the mana screw away, and you've got like basically a Magic Light type game. And that's why I'm not really interested in Lorcana. I think that's why, as a whole, most people have kind of fallen out with Lorcana. I think I mentioned this last time, that one of my reps from one of the largest distributors said they do not have an account that has been running more than 16-man tournaments for Lorcana. And so, again, I don't want to crap on people's passion. If you like the game, I really, really, really do hope for the success of Lorcana. I've sold a lot of it. I've played the game. I've enjoyed the game. I have friends that really, really enjoy the game. And I want people to have as many TCGs possible for them to enjoy. Where I'm frustrated with Lorcana is I think that they've done all of the terrible decisions. And again, it was kind of like it's you kind of reap what you sow. They put their flag down when they basically stole Magic mechanics and branded it as Disney for Wizards to then leap in and start trying to chip away at their territory, and actually got basically one of their IPs, Marvel, which now seems that it was clear that that was the plan all along for Lorcana, just like Villainous, to incorporate them into kind of their game, into their world. And we'd eventually see some crossover with Disney and Marvel in the Lorcana thing. And the problem with Lorcana too is I still think that it's the Disney IP that has been carrying this game more than actually the game mechanics. And Lorcana, like, they should be ashamed of themselves anyway. They killed their own community with the shutting down of Pixelborn, the tone deaf reception. I mean, Disney does this all the time, though. Instead of trying to cultivate their fan base, they basically shove them out. And well, thank you for all your work and effort. Now let's shove you out of the scene here, and we're gonna take over from here. And so I know when Pixelborn ended, I saw a massive drop of people that even wanted to touch this game. And as I stated in one of the last videos too, unfortunately Lorcana, they still don't know what type of game they want to be. They keep trying to be Pokemon. They keep trying to be like, okay, we're going to have these ultra chase cards for everyone to chase. We're going to be a collectible card game first and a trading card game second. And then they like go back and say, you know what? No, we're going to be a trading card game first, like Magic, and have collectible aspects to the game. And they still, to this day, do not know what they are. And this is the kind of the problem that Stars Unlimited is, too, with the release of Carbonite boosters, in my opinion, too quickly, before they really had their game established. And both these ones are now with these rotations, and it doesn't seem like their communities are in the best shape going forward with a clear direction in place. So I just found that is incredibly interesting and thought I'd pass it along, that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes with this Spider-Man debacle. And maybe you speculators and you investor bros will get your reserve list set if this is true, that a Spider-Man doesn't have any planned second waves or subsequent reprints. And, so what I'm hearing too, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news for people that are, locals here or patrons of mine, Spider-Man is going to be incredibly tight. This was a conversation I had with an alternative distributor, so not my main distributor. So I've already got allocations from a main distributor. They're fine. They're typical, as usual, with Spider-Man compared to like Final Fantasy or something. But I do rely on alternate distributors. What this distributor is saying is they only have product allocated for people that chose them as their WPN distributor. Meaning, Wizards of the Coast only allocated product to the WPN network and doesn't have excess product to go around. That actually does account for a ton of supply, if true, because I've always been able to rely. How it works with distribution is, yes, you get larger numbers for sure. You get your guaranteed allocation numbers from the WPN. That is based upon the level that you have with Wizards. So if you're a premium store, you get higher allocations. If you're a level 2 store, you get higher allocations than the level 1. If you're a baseline store, you get very bare minimum allocations just to run, the pre-release in a few boxes. We are like a level 2-ish. We're like the step below premium. So our numbers for WPN are quite good from our, main distributor that does that. But I have built up a very good reputation with these alternate distributors by, picking up product, by buying a lot of things, that's where that is taken account for, is like your total overall spend in Magic the Gathering. So then when they allocate and they have the excess product beyond the WPN stuff, that's when they allocate towards stores. Now, if you look at my videos, I've been incredibly frustrated lately because I feel like distributors have been prioritizing, non-stores okay, non-play stores, so basically online-only stores or rip and shippers or people that don't have skin in the game, in my opinion. And distributors have been allocating them a lot more product than trying to, prioritize stores because there's no contracts in place. They don't have to. It's easier, to ship to these people with big money than to try to, as I stated in my last video too, stores can be a headache to deal with because most stores are not very good with money. They're not very good with planning. They're not very good with credit. They're not really good with all this stuff because every store owner I ever have met has got into the business. They've been a bit over their head with what they've done. A lot of them take on too many employees too quickly. I've said this so much that people always look at my store and like, oh, Kevin, why don't you hire employees? Why don't you get another bigger building? All of that has massive multipliers of how much it actually cost me to stay open if we were to get a bigger building, more security, more utility costs. Employees, don't even started on how expensive employees are. We have to pay all the other fees and taxes that are associated with actually hiring an employee. So a lot of store owners, they get into this, like they just look at these margins like, okay, we do this amount of sales. They don't take that into account. And then 6, 10, 12 months down the road, they're in over their heads with how much costs their overhead. And they just can't understand, wow, they're not making money when they're just hemorrhaging money for overhead. And of course, if you don't have a store, if you're just selling out of your basement as a single seller or a rip and shipper, you don't have any of that. And you have a massive advantage over to regular stores if regular stores can't get product like to sell during hot markets. So anyway, I've kind of got off a tangent here, and we'll reel this back in. So kind of the TLDR in this video, it was I was on the phone for like almost an hour, kind of discussing this about Spider-Man. And if what I'm hearing is true, that there won't be any allocations beyond WPN allocations, you are going to see insane prices on TCG Player for all the products. I'm really this gift bundle. I wonder if that like last minute they made some sort of deal to get that fantasy gift bundle for Spider-Man because it was already in the works, and because it was kind of a late release, late announcement after even Avatar. All the stuff from Avatar was announced, and so I wouldn't be surprised if like there's some more Avatar product that was announced to kind of compensate for this. But the takeaway from this is that from whatever the distributor, the main reason for the push update for Avatar is that Wizards of the Coast is going to go ham on marketing Avatar over Spider-Man because they want to give you that nice little distraction. Be like, oh, this is what you really want. You don't want this Spider-Man, you want this Avatar. Lorcana is ticked, Disney is ticked that they kind of got sidelined with the biggest trading card game getting their GCIP that they had plans for integrating. And I think that is I guess my last thought is, well, Kevin, it's a standard-based set. If Spider-Man is rare, if it's like you can't do reprints, how are they going to guarantee a format where you need to have set boosters available? This is my theory. This is my guess of what's going to happen. That time and effort and artwork and everything they did for Magic Online and Arena to get those cards available for players to play. The headache already is going to surround when a person tries to go from Magic Online or Arena over into Paper Magic and they can't find the cards because they're like, I've been playing these cards on Arena. Where are they? Oh, they're in Spider-Man. What the hell is going on? Why is there a Spider-Man version and a regular version? I think that Wizards is going to actually solve that problem by printing a paper set that is identical to Magic Online and Arena for the Spider-Man kind of skins over into the universes within. And that's what we'll see, the subsequent reprints coming into the mix. And actually, it might actually bring some more supply. You could see collector boosters, you could see bundles, you could see gift bundles, you could basically see a one-for-one replication of all the Spider-Man lines in the universes within type products. So very, very interesting things, juicy things that I've been hearing through the grapevine. Now again, these are all rumors. I could have just been hoodwinked completely by this discussion. It could be someone else's speculation, but the timeline adds up. Do I have Villainous here? No, I do not have any Marvel Villainous. I was going to go show you exactly what I'm talking about with Ravensburger. One of their most successful games with Ravensburger was Villainous. So it's a Disney-based game. It's not even that great. Has anyone played Villainous? So basically, it's a board game where you have a deck and your opponent, you have a good deck and a bad deck. Your opponents play off of your hero deck and tries to stop you from doing your scheme, and you play off of your deck and you try to get your scheme done. So like Peter Pan, or the Hook is trying to get Peter Pan on a certain location so you can defeat him, and that's how you win. And they're okay. They're not terrible board games. For an IP-based board game, it was actually pretty decent. But the success of Villainous has definitely been people like seeing a Disney-based game be like, oh, I love Disney. I love this theme. I'm going to pick up this game. They're not like, I wouldn't say that Villainous sells to enfranchised board gamers, like people that really love the board game hobby, as it does to more the casual person. And so then they, they incorporated, they started to do all the Disney stuff. They started to sell exclusive Villainouses at Disney that you could only pick up at Disney. And then in this last couple of years, they've been putting Marvel. So they've done the exact same thing for Marvel. So the game Villainous is now been expanded to Marvel characters. So obviously, this is going to be the same strategy they're going to have for Lorcana. And I think they're banking on it too, because let me know in the comment section below. Because again, I'm in a bubble here. I only interact with people on my Patreon and people here locally. And both of those, there is basically 10%, 5% of the original demand for Lorcana. We still have people playing it in here. We still have enough people to justify carrying the game and pre-ordering the game, but it definitely isn't close to those first couple sets where people were collecting the cards, chasing the cards, being really excited. Remember how it was going to beat Pokemon? Like everyone was like going crazy about Lorcana. The IP was so strong. Finally, we had this collectible card game that had just a massive IP with Mickey the most. And it was funny too, because I think that Pikachu is now leapfrog Mickey as the most identifiable character, IP character. And so Disney's really feeling the heat for that. But it does have a massive IP behind it with, Disneyland, Disney World, and all, so many theme parks and everything else associated with it. They put out videos every year. And Lorcana's struggling. And so I just want to know in your scene, in your local scene, how is Lorcana doing? How's the reception of it doing? Am I just completely off base of this? Because, like I said, it's pretty dismal with, there's a lot of things coming down the chain with that. I think I mentioned in my other video with Lorcana, that they're going to start tightening up print waves, trying to make it only kind of exclusive to game stores that are running their events. And they are demanding a lot more from the game store to kind of carry their product, which again is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, because this is a double-edged sword. Yes, it makes sure product goes to places that are promoting their game, which, I'd be a hypocrite if I wouldn't say that I love that aspect of a store. Like that's what's ticking me up at Wizards of the Coast, is they've kind of thrown out the window. But you do also need to have product available in other areas for the game to grow. Otherwise, you're just going to kind of stay at this stagnation level, and you're just going to be happy with the amount of players you have now. It's going to be hard to grow beyond just the local game store aspect of it. So it's a tightrope. It's something that's very, very tough for manufacturers, distributors, stores to actually make that call. And what I've been, just from talking to other store owners, talking to my players, talking to my patrons, Lorcana just is in a really, really bad shape. And yeah, I could definitely see them like I said, throwing that fit about Marvel going to Magic the Gathering, when that was going to be one of their big edges over Wizards of the Coast, was to be able to say, we've got all these Marvel sets in the making, so stick with us. I know you might not be into Disney, but who's not into Disney or Marvel, type thing? Someone's going to at least find something somewhere there between those two massive IPs. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll keep my ears open. I'm going to try to shake the tree a little bit and get some more information to see exactly how credible this is with stuff. But I do want to make everyone aware right now that Spider-Man is going to be a bloodbath. It's out of my hands. If I'm not going to get any product from my alternate distributors, we're going to have incredibly low numbers to go around for even things like set boosters and booster bundles and things that typically have not been hard to acquire from the alternate distributors. So again, I'll keep everyone up to date of what I hear and what I see, and we'll see you in the next video.